Welcome to the Why Dad podcast. We are your hosts, Paul Wandry and Andrew Stopelstead, and we are on a mission to figure out what it means to be a dad, husband, and man, and why it matters, and how to be the best version possible. And today, to help us along that journey, we have an awesome guest, Jeff Wickersham, dad of two, creator of the Warrior Dad Experience, and author of the recently published Warrior Dad book. And Jeff's on a mission, an even bigger and bolder mission than ours, to help 1 million dads and elevate 2 million kids by 2053. And his passion is helping fathers be more present, intentional, and strong leaders at home. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes, we're super stoked for this. I mean, our missions are very much aligned. I was able to, earlier in this year, I think it was, I was able to partner with you, hire you as my coach, and you definitely made a difference in my life. So you're an obvious choice to have on the show to share with other dads. So Jeff, question to start us off. What is the most dad thing that you've done this week?
The most dad thing I've done?
You can interpret that however you wish.
Yeah. I'm having that spin around. One, how do I say the most dad thing I've done? Probably getting up early and going to the gym with my guys.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Is that something that you do every day?
No, not every day, but it was about 2 years ago. Both my guys play sports, athletes, and I'm always looking for a slight edge in life myself, and also setting up my sons for the same thing. So I said, hey, would you guys be open to going to the gym before school to get some lifting in to give yourself a competitive advantage? And I was lucky. One, I think I phrased it properly. Would you be open to, not let's do this? So they said, yeah. And now, they ask me to go. I don't need to ask them to go.
Nice.
If you think about most dad, that pops into my head, waking up bright and early and hitting the gym before school.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, you're spending quality time with your kids. You're modeling self-improvement. You're helping them do the same. And I mean, what a better way to build a bond. Awesome. So for those of our listeners who may not have come across you, can you share kind of your origin story, like what has brought you to where you are now and the Warrior Dad experience?
Yeah, for sure. And it's coming on 11 years. I wear a pink wristband on my right forearm. I lost my mom to breast cancer nearly 11 years ago. So that was kind of, when you watch the woman that brought you into this world take her last breath in front of you, I like to say the fragility of life 2x4 smacked me upside the head. And it's like, okay, you get one trip around the sun. What kind of dent, what kind of impact you want to have. Still remember the last deep conversation I had with my late mother. She was about ready to go on hospice care. So we were kind of turning that last corner, right? And I asked her how she was doing, and she told me she was scared she'd be forgotten. And that was just something that I didn't know it then, guys, but like Steve Jobs likes to say, right, the dots connect looking back. I know there was a baton passed between her and me. I did assure her that at that point, your hope, your positivity is going to live through me. I'm going to pass it down to my boys. So that was kind of trigger one. Ended up leaving corporate America. About 18 months later, created my own gym, did that for about 3.5 years, but I was still doing the kind of the vices, I like to call them kryptonite dust, that throw off so many men, whether it's alcohol, porn, gambling, social media, just numbing up that voice that calls out to us to be more, do more, have more. And then I started to uncover some things. And I still remember playing cards, drinking beers with the buddies till 2 a.m. on a Friday night, and going to teach an 8 a.m. fitness class at my gym on a Saturday. I always told my wife I won't let it affect me. Went in to give her a kiss, and she said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." She said, "How are you going to go teach about health and wellness and you reek of alcohol?" And that was a powerful truth bomb. And I said, okay, hey, I got to start doing better things. Plus, I got to set a better example for my boys. Started to uncover, started to put on that white lab coat, I like to say, and just deep dive. Started trial and error, many different things, and figured out what worked. And then I started doing those things. And then about 3 years ago, I was really searching. I had closed my gym down. I had moved away from that. Really moved into mindset, peak performance coaching, and I was searching for who do I want to guide and serve. And I have a buddy who runs ultra marathons. He had a training partner, dad of 3, kind of going through a challenging time. He said, you know what, you should connect with Jeff. He's got some energy, he's got some fire, he's got some things figured out. Unfortunately, the dad never reached out. He ended up committing suicide, taking his own life. So I still remember being there in my office and telling my wife, I'm like, it's dads. I want to help the dads. I've gone through the fires. I've battled my demons and dragons. I want to help other men do the same. So that's where the Warrior Dad was birthed. And now daily, it's just, how do I get a little bit better today than I was yesterday? How do I share what I learned with my sons and my wife? And then how do I share it with the dads that jump into the Warrior Dad and really answer the call to be the best version of themselves? So that's a little origin story arc that got us here.
Man, what a powerful story, and thank you for sharing. And those painful experiences, the loss of your mother, your own personal challenges, and then seeing pain out in the world, I can see how motivating that is. And so you're 3 years into this journey of the Warrior Dad experience, and you've, I'm sure, have helped a number of dads along the way, me one of them. What I think sadly, like the experience you shared of the dad who committed suicide, like that is becoming more common and is especially common among men. And I think, that an element of that is the isolation, the lack of knowing how to deal with what they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is, like, in all the dads that you've helped along the ways and you've seen along the way, like, what would you say is the number one challenge that dads face today and they keep?
I mean, that's a good one. I mean, isolation and lack of brotherhood, lack of community is a huge one, I think. To your point, Paul, my wife and I laugh about old version of Jeff versus new version of Jeff. An old version of Jeff didn't have the courage to ask for help. So it might be ego that jumps in from most dads. They're like, what? You tell me I'm not a good enough dad? No. Could you be better? Could you be that one dad that changes a family tree forever? So I think ego is one thing, isolation, that component. I would also say I harp on the phones a lot. They're a big distraction, but we also live in the greatest time known to man as far as tech. You can get anything in the palm of your hand, but what has happened is most dads consume, and what they become is librarians of the mind, meaning they're just cataloging everything and they're not taking any action based upon what they're learning because they have too much. They don't know where to start. Where I love to switch that, and it's like, no, we're warriors of the mind. We learn something, we don't move on, we take action on it, we try it out. If it works, we keep doing it, and then we move forward. So, probably overwhelm is that librarian of the mind and not really knowing where to start to get that foundation to play at a different energy level, be more focused, be more present, be more intentional with your family. I mean, my guys are, Jackson, my oldest, just turned 17 a couple days ago. He's a junior. Carter's a sophomore. I got limited time left with them. Like, you only get 18 seasons with your kids. And the longer you wait to answer that call and be the best version of themselves, the more regret you're going to have when they're out of your house.
Wow. Yeah. So it was like you're seeing right through me when you were talking about, being a librarian of the mind, because I think that's something I struggle with personally, just like consume. But okay, what does it matter if I don't implement it? What are like one or two ways, like if anybody else listening to this show, like is like, oh yeah, that's me, like that they could do to start making a change? Because it seems obvious, but like what would you tell them?
Yeah, so a couple things. Number one, if you're listening or watching something or listening to this podcast and you get a nugget of wisdom, press the pause button and put it in your notes and say, I'm going to do this today. If you're reading a book, highlight it, put it in your notes on your phone. I have tons of notes of things because I consume podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube videos. I'm reading probably 2 to 3 hours a day because I want to bring that to the dads that jump into the Warrior Dad. But that's a great way. I think so many times what happens, especially let's just take a book for example. They highlight and they're like, all right, I'll go back to that. What are the odds you go back? No, you want to finish the book because I just want to feel good about finishing the book. Listen, books, 1, 3, 5, maybe 10 great ideas in a book, max. Find a great idea and then work on it that day. Don't say I'll do it later, because you don't. Things happen, pace of life. So that would be my number one recommendation, of keeping notes and then taking action upon it and seeing what happens. Put on that white lab coat and be like, okay, that worked. Yeah. If it works, here's the thing. Do it for decades. The elite performers in life, the Jeff Bezos, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, they figure out what works and then they literally do it for decades. The routines I do, controlling the bookends. I think today was 2,840 straight days. I've done it for nearly 8 straight years. People wonder why I have a lot of fire, a lot of energy, a lot of focus, because I know I'm consistent. I know I'm disciplined, and I know that I dial that in. So long-winded answer, but taking action and really having almost a repository of like great things and then trying them those days, right when you learn them, they will create that momentum where you can start to say, okay, that works, that doesn't. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to discard that.
How would you, or what would you say to like dads, or even in my case, guys that are wannabe dads or uncles, that are really involved in their nieces and nephews' lives, but when you're doing like the trial and error through all of those processes, oftentimes the error is more than the success. So just like get over the nothing I'm trying is working, and to just keep going at it till you find that, because it can be very discouraging, very depressing to keep trying and not have something that actually ends up working.
Yeah, so I mean, Andrew, I would say that get over yourself. Like when you were a child learning to walk, how many times do you get back up, fell, and you didn't care because you were bound to do that. So here's the reality: when you start something out, you are going to suck at it. That's just it. That's part of the game. I still remember when I first opened my gym, I did my first Facebook Live, and I literally, my hand was shaking. I was like, this is Jeff Wickersham and it was awful.
Yeah.
But I allowed myself to suck, and I allowed myself to get better and say, you know what, this doesn't reflect on me. Anytime somebody does something for the first time, they're not very good at it.
Right.
And then just be committed to putting in the daily reps. I think there was a story about Jerry Seinfeld, the famous comedian. He literally had a calendar, and for years he would just mark off every single day. He's like, I commit to writing a joke per day. And that's how he built his craft, right? Yeah. So we see elite performers, we see people that are crushing it, but you don't understand what work goes into it behind the scenes when no one's watching. So just allow yourself to suck, be committed to it, and you'll get better over time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think in today's day and age where we want the quick fix, or with the heroes, the celebrities, the athletes, we see them all over the place, and it's so easy, oh yeah, they must be talented, it must be genetic, good genes or whatever. But no, they if you look, they worked hard, and it didn't happen overnight. It was consistent work, day in and day out. We like to think it's it's a quick fix. It must have been easy for them, because then it's not for me.
Yeah, and I love to unpack. So you said a couple people like Kobe or Tom Brady. Do it a little bit deeper. I'm a sports guy. I love sports. Do a deeper dive. Find their origin story. There was a summer where Kobe Bryant, I think it was between 7th to 8th grade, he didn't score a single point in his summer league games. Tom Brady didn't start on his freshman football team that went up in 8. Think of don't just see the success. Then do a little bit deeper dive, and then you'll be like, wait a second, this person really persevered and got through it. And those are the things, if you're a dad that has athletes, I love sharing those videos with my guys, because then it's wait a second, Jordan got cut from his JV basketball team, right? Those type of things. So we just need to make sure we don't take it at face value and do a little deeper dive and say, how did he get there? Because the breadcrumbs are there.
Yeah. I mean, kind of related, but kind of not. But speaking of being consumers and librarians, it's so rare today, or I think it's becoming more rare, to go beyond the surface level. You see the headline and you stop there. So that's a good reminder to dig in, because you're not going to find the real value, the real truth until you do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And Michael Phelps is another one. I was just listening to something about Michael Phelps. You see all his accolades. Do you know he went 5 straight years without missing a single day of practice? I mean, that's the dedication and burning the boats all in mentality it takes. So, no, sorry to cut you off, but that just popped into my head.
I love that example. Go ahead, Andrew.
I've always loved Kobe, and so when you brought him up, I'm like, that's the perfect example to use for that. And not only that, but you see the impact he had on the league. All the players of his era, and even now, talk about the grind that Kobe would put in, the hours he'd spend in the gym. And it just got me thinking about, how we, as dads or aspiring dads, can be that example to other dads. It's going to take effort, but if we see other dads putting that effort in, it makes it more of a possibility or something real for us to attain as well.
Yeah. And I would add, Andrew, to that, like, that's one of the reasons for the past, has it been 5 years? I've done crazy physical challenges every single year. And my kids have seen me do it. Like 5 years ago and the year after, I did the David Goggins 4x4 by 48 challenge. So you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours straight. You start at 11 p.m. on Friday, you don't finish to 7. It's basically 2 marathons in a weekend. My boys saw me do that, right? So they see me setting the pace. Year after that, I did what's called now the Warrior Dad Challenge. I did a full marathon, 1,500 pull-ups, 1,950 sit-ups, 2,600 push-ups in 16 and a half hours.
Wow.
I set the pace, right? And all of a sudden they can see what's possible. So I love challenging physically because it unlocks mental strength. And to your point, then you can set the example for not only your kids, but everybody around you, right? And now more than ever in society, we need strong leaders who are leading from their heart and in the right place and leading by example.
Yeah, we do.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a great example. The hard things that you've done. I mean, you're 2,800 straight days, 2,840 straight days of your bookends. Like, that's a great example. It's inspiring. I'm thinking of myself here. Like, I can go and I get motivated and I'll start and I'll have a hot streak. I'll have a hot start. But then, like you talk about doing it for 10 years, like it becomes a grind. Like, so what has helped you be consistent for so long, and especially with those big challenges?
Yeah. So a couple things. Number one, I track it. When you see numbers and you see like, okay, I've done this many days, I'm like, man, I've told my wife, I'm like, unless I'm incapacitated in the hospital, like you better still put my AirPods on and help me meditate. So I keep that streak of meditation. So I love keeping the streak. And then I also know, I'll give a couple more, but I also know the science behind it. When you start, you have to use what's called activation energy. It's like a train leaving the train tracks or the space shuttle lifting off. Space shuttle lifting off uses like 90% of its fuel in the first minute because it's got to use, and that's what we needed to do when we start. So it is so much easier if you just keep that momentum. And I don't want to stop because then I'm going to have to start again.
Right.
And that's what is exhausting for most people and why they give up, because they start, stop, and they're like, man, I am spent. Well, yeah, because you're not staying consistent. So number one, track it. Number two, make it simple, easy, almost laughable. I mean, my bookends in the morning, back in 7 wins real quick, I call it the morning fire protocol. You can do it in less than 15 minutes, 1% of your day. If you don't have 1% of your day to start off the day on the right foot, I'm sorry, you're not serious about winning in life. You're just not. 1%, 14, 15, come on. Give me 7 wins. You'll feel like you got jet fuel in your veins and you're ready to attack the day. So track it, keep it simple, easy, almost laughable, and that's very important.
Yeah, that's some great advice, and I think all of our listeners can relate with the inertia, the challenge of inertia, getting it going and then going back and forth, starting, stopping. The other question I have, you talk about notating, like taking notes when you hear something good and then putting it into practice. I guess I have 2 questions. One is, and I'll do one at a time. The first question is, do you have a system or a recommendation for how to do you go back to those notes after you've written them, or how do you stay on top of them, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I'll go back and research. Sometimes they'll become content ideas that I put out on social, or they're short videos that I drop to the Warrior Dads. I give them a daily video of a little nugget for them to, a little piece of wisdom for them to take action on, because to your point, there's so much coming at us, and I've helped over 100 dads through the Warrior Dad. A lot of them come back and have been like, man, you have an innate ability to just figure out what the one thing is or the 2 things, tell me, and then take action. So that's kind of how I stay abreast of it and just stay on top of it and just continue being that constant learner, and I can cycle back through. But once I've shared it, either on social or once I've shot a video, guess what? It's getting in there, right? And then I can apply it to my life. So that's really, so thinking of dads listening, that's a great way to learn. Learn to take action yourself, but then teach it to your kids. When you have to teach it, all of a sudden you learn at the highest level. I mean, that's what we do in the Warrior Dad. I tell dads when they get in, we're going to learn at the highest level. Learn, take action, but then take action to teach it to your kids. Share that wisdom to the next generation. That's how we pay it forward all of a sudden you're going to learn at a much different level versus I'm just going to take action and forget about. No, now I got to teach my kids. I got to think about what's good, what works, what doesn't. So it really enhances that learning capability.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Like when I share something that I was just reading with my wife, that sticks in my head so much more than the rest of the chapter. Yep. So that makes a lot of sense. The next question I had kind of related to this is like, so especially, you're reading a book, you're listening to podcasts. You mentioned about, how we live in the greatest age with tech and all this information out there. Let's say like you hear something and you try to implement it, but at a certain point, like you hear 10 great things, and you try to implement 10 great things, it's going to be hard to stay consistent with that. So do you have any recommendations for how to, not overextend yourself, I guess?
Yeah, I wouldn't bite off more than you can chew, right? It'd probably be one thing to really play around with a week from that perspective. And then you can say, yeah, it works. Yeah, no, it doesn't. And then if it does, hey, how do I implement it into my daily routine? And, that happens to me on the physical side. I just turned 50 in April. I'm doing this Norwegian 4x4 training. It's supposed to really improve your cardiovascular function. I'm figuring out, hey, do I do it once a week? Do I just do some more sprints? That type of stuff. So I think being curious is such a key component. Like there's so much out there. Get curious about it. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm going to try this out today. Okay, that works. I'm going to add that into my weekly routine. It doesn't necessarily have to be a daily, but thinking about from a weekly, monthly perspective, then you can add some more things in there. And it's not overwhelming that like every day I have to do X, Y, Z. You can start sprinkling things in a little bit less frequent, but from a higher capacity perspective.
I think that's a great point because even for me as a single guy, it's so hard to just balance everything out there. You want to accomplish so much and load yourself up, and you end up not accomplishing anything because you're half-assing all these different things instead of just building up that momentum and building up on a solid foundation. You just have a scattered bunch of activities or priorities or things like that. So even for me as a single guy, that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I would also say, Andrew, balance is a complete myth. Balance is something some consultant one day brought up and it just spread like wildfire. Work-life balance. I was in corporate America. I always felt like a failure.
Yeah.
And I would say a majority of men, dads, husbands, leaders do. Because when you think of balance, what do you immediately think? You think of equal. They're not going to be equal. So I forget what book I took this from, but it's instead of work-life balance, it should be work-life satisfaction. Can you be satisfied both of those areas? If I need to put in a 14-hour day for my business and I only have 30 minutes with my wife and 2 boys, can I be so intentional and present and love on them and just listen to them and give them in that 30 minutes? Can I be I could. On the flip side, if I have all day and I only put an hour into work, could I be satisfaction is actually a target you can hit. Balance isn't a target. It's a consultant BS myth that too many people think about, and they set themselves up for failure. And then guess what happens? They don't get it. So they just say, I just can't do this. Something's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with you. It's a term. It's a language we use, and we've been kind of brainwashed by it. And it's caused a lot of frustration, anger, and really resentment that men and dads specifically can't figure it out.
Yeah, that just opened a whole lot, just blew my mind. I'm in corporate America now, and that's something HR, and if they hear this, I don't care. But they shove down our throats, on the day. It's like, you got it. We want to promote this. And then, at the end of the year, everyone's angry because, for one, it means something different to every single person. And no one's, like you said, it's unachievable.
I really appreciate that as well. I think so many times just having a simple shift in our mindset really makes a difference. Speaking of mindset, you're really big on mental toughness and that positive energy. I'm trying to think how to phrase this question. What is the best way? If somebody was like, okay, yeah, I want to foster that positive energy. I want to become somebody who's mentally tough. What would you say to that dad who's trying to do that?
Quickest way to do it is join a group that operates at a different level. We were talking about Michael Phelps. I forget what book I read, but it was basically a girl wanted to be an Olympic swimmer, and she joined a swim team. And the swim team, she was used to getting in the pool at like 6:30. The swim team was there at 5 a.m. She's like, I got to go at 5 a.m. That's what everybody's doing. So quickest way is to join a group, right, that operates at a peak level. And if you're hanging around with guys that are all playing at the level and nobody's pushing the pace, you're all just going to stay stuck.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's why dads quite honestly come to me and jump in the Warrior Dad, because they know I play at a different level, and I'm going to push them to be at their best. I'm going to push them to pour into their wives and their kids and to be intentional, to be focused, to dial in their energy. And all of a sudden they're like, family's looking at like, who the heck is this guy? How is he? And so quickest way is to join a group. And the other piece is, we think about what we talked about before. One of the biggest things hurting dads is lack of brotherhood, lack of community, lack of true support, not the ball busting, like bro kind of stuff that,
Right.
Typically happens. Like I tell the guys that jump into my programs, first call, like, this is a circle of trust. We are supporting each other, encouraging each other. We're not going to bitch. We're not going to complain. And if you go outside that circle of trust, I got guys I know that are former Navy SEALs. I will hunt you down. But it becomes a safe place of like, yeah, you got this. Like, Paul, today, you got this. And guys sometimes have challenging days. And sometimes I'm not even the guy encouraging them. It's other dads. And that's such a key component of feeling supported, feeling like you're a part of a group that really can move forward. So that would be the quickest recommendation that I can give.
Yeah.
I really like that, because I personally, and I know it's my opinion, that most men want to be challenged, from career growth to being the best person we can be. Like when we're in a job that just is stagnant, we get content, or complacent is the best word. And we hinder ourselves from achieving our true potential. So, we move on to a different job that challenges us. Or in my case, Paul and I have, certain things that we challenge each other to work on and whatnot. And so, yeah, having that support to help build yourself up, to challenge you to be the best, I do see that as something lacking.
Yeah. I mean, I would say a fast follow after that one, if I could jump in and give you another.
Absolutely.
Cut out the stupid crap you're doing. Stuff that, like, people try and add stuff. Cut out the stuff. Like, I haven't had to drink alcohol in nearly 4 years. Do you know how on fire I am every single day because I don't have it in my system? Yeah. It's amazing when you cut out those little things that you don't think knock you off in the moment. You just get so much more committed to what you're doing, so much more on fire, right? If you're on social and you're scrolling and you're following all these bikini models, it's impacting your relationship with your wife. So, like, quit doing the stupid crap that doesn't add value. Plus, think about the example you're setting for your kiddos. That was one of the reasons why I went away from alcohol. My guys at that time were 13 and 12, and I said, I just want to set a different course for their lives and set a different example. So that would be a fast follow. Cut out the stupid crap does not add any value in your life.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. It's like you want to like save up to buy a house or to go on an awesome vacation or whatever. And then every day you're going and spending like, $5 on Starbucks or whatever it is. Not necessarily a bad thing, but like if you want to be doing those bigger, grander things, but you're spending all your spending money, on these frivolous, less important things, like you're going to end up with no money, right? So that's really helpful. So I really like this, you're talking about joining a group that challenges you, that takes you beyond yourself and the need for community. Can you tell the listeners more about the Warrior Dad experience, like the community aspect of it? And then I'm also curious how you navigate with that community, everybody, like the virtual aspect of it, because I imagine that, there's people spread across the nation. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, so couple details first about the Warrior Dad experience. It's 10 weeks in length, and that's on purpose. You guys have probably all heard 21 days to create a habit. We know it's complete BS. I don't know if you guys know this. I learned this in January. January 22nd now is nicknamed, they give every day a nickname. It's National Quitters Day because so many people fall off the wagon. So it's 10 weeks in length on purpose because science says habits take 21 to 67 days for long, life-lasting habits. From a Brotherhood community, we've got a chat group that we can connect with on a daily basis. We've got accountability. We're checking in every day that we get our work done. So everybody's checking in. If you're not checking in, I'm sending you a text. Hey, make sure you check in. We got challenges, we post them in there. Guys jump in, right? We support each other. I drop a daily video, and then we have a 60-minute Zoom call once a week where I'm diving in, teaching for about 35, 40 minutes, 20, 25 minutes. Dads are sharing wins, lessons learned, needs help, and it's a great community aspect from that perspective. I will tell you, I had not met a single dad that had gone through my program for 2 years and 4 months. This April, I met the first of 4 in April, and I met 4 of them, and it was like we were brothers. And it was, Alex Laperouse, who wrote the foreword of the Warrior Dad book. He's got 4 kiddos. I was down speaking at a keynote in Annapolis, went out to lunch, spent the day at his office, and then I was going to go out with another dad and his boss for dinner. And I said, I want to meet your wife and 4 kiddos for ice cream. So we met for ice cream, talked to his wife. The kids were like, we're in this book. It was awesome. So being in the foxhole on a daily basis with these guys over a 10-week period, and then some dads stay with me for years. Mm-hmm. You build these bonds, even though it's through Zoom, you're in it together. That it was all 4 guys that I met. It was like we were brothers, and it was so awesome. It was a true testament to the success and what we're doing on a daily basis, and that true support, true brotherhood. You've got this. Let's go. That type of mentality.
That's amazing. And have you seen these dads going and, well, I guess let me ask it a different way. Like for those dads who are looking to build a community around them locally, like have you seen any success in that realm, or do you have any suggestions on how to do that?
I mean, some have. I mean, a lot of the dads have referred their brothers, they're playing at a different level, and somebody sees the Warrior Dad wristband and he's like, what is the Warrior Dad? He's like, you got to talk to this guy, Jeff. Then they jump in. So it's organically grown from that perspective. I would say, some dads go off and do their own thing. And I think that's a testament to the success of the program. But some dads, want to be connected with me. They know I'm going to push them continually, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and we stay connected. And those dads are, I would say, truly bought into that million dads by January 1st, 2053, and they want to help me get there. And we're on that mission together, and that's pretty special from my perspective. I'm grateful, humbled, and honored to have their support. And literally today or yesterday, I have a guy who's considering it, and he asked for a reference. And I sent Alex, who I was talking to, a note. And Alex is basically like, don't ever ask me again if you can send me. Just do it. Like that kind of stuff. So
that's awesome.
It's been pretty powerful.
Yeah, I love that. So speaking of that's the Warrior Dad experience. Can you tell us a bit about the Warrior Dad book that you just published?
Yeah, it was a challenge. It's the Warrior Dad, love your children, lead your family, leave your legacy. I got pretty personal in the book. I mean, I start off with a story of how I tried to bail out my gym business that was failing through gambling and nearly bankrupted my family, and my wife didn't know. I had to tell my boys this whole story prior to releasing the book. So it was very, I get vulnerable. I share some stories that people didn't know, but I also give actionable, straightforward strategies, tools, tactics that dads can implement. So I've gotten amazing reviews on it, and it continues to gain traction, people picking it up, and then they're circling back, and then they reach out to me and they're like, I want to get in. I want to be a part of that. And I think that's the movement that we're building of dads saying no to the common path and choosing that uncommon path with other men that want to do it. And I think that's a very powerful thing. So the crazy thing is, gentlemen, my late mother was a reading teacher, and she would have been my biggest book marketing known to man. But I know she's looking down, kind of smiling and proud for what I've done with the book.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she's doing her own version of marketing from up there.
There you go. There you go. I'm sure she is.
I lost my mom probably around the same time, actually, about 11 years ago. And there are so many things that, myself and talking with my siblings is like, yeah, that's mom.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure. Little signs.
Yeah, I'm sure she's doing the same for you. So, yeah, no, this has been amazing. I haven't checked out your book yet, but I plan to, and looking forward to it. I didn't participate in the Brotherhood aspect of it, though now I'm having FOMO. but I did do one-on-one with you, Jeff, and
Yep.
I got a lot out of that, so I can definitely speak to that. But before we end up wrapping up here, we like to do this segment. We call it rapid fire, but we need to come up with a better question, a better title for it, because it's not really rapid fire.
Yeah.
But we have a few questions that we want to ask you that we ask every dad on the show, and then after that, we'll give you a chance to share where people can find you, and
Yep.
we'll wrap up from there.
I'm ready, man. Fire away. Let's see how rapid it is.
All right. Okay. So, what is being a good dad look like to you?
Number one, answering every bid. When your kids make a bid for your attention, unless you're on something like this, a podcast or a call, the email can wait, the text message can wait, the social media scroll can wait. When they ask you to do something, they want your attention, they want your time, answer it every time, especially when you don't feel like it. So that would be number one. Number two would be having high standards, but then also having high love and support. That's the warrior dad mentality, is like high standards, but you got to have high love and support. That would be number two. And then number three, be their biggest fan. Life's hard. Believe in them before they believe in themselves. Tell them how proud you are of them at least a couple times a month. Tell them how grateful you are of them at least a couple times a month. And then make sure you're telling them you love them. Give them a hug, give them a kiss every darn day, because you only get 18 seasons with them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. One habit that I picked up from you was writing a daily note to my kids. You know, the days that I missed it, my daughter would come to me and be like, "Dad, where's my note?"
She was calling you out. She was your accountability partner right there.
Yeah, but like when I did it, she wouldn't really, she wouldn't always comment on it. But what that drove home to me is like she recognized when I was showing up there for her and being her biggest fan.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just saw a reel, speaking of answering every bid, I saw a reel the other day where it was a dad on his phone, and there was a kid like in the doorway saying, "Hey, Dad, look at me. Dad, look at me. Dad, look at me." Over and over and over, and just getting more and more helpless. And it's like, yeah, I saw myself in that. So awesome tips there. My next question is, you are a big habit guy. So what is the number one habit that helps you show up as a dad?
Practicing gratitude every day. Practicing gratitude. When you practice gratitude, number one, over a 8 to 10 week period, it increases your happiness by 25%. I mean, sign me up if that can happen. In addition, when you practice gratitude, those little mundane, kind of insignificant moments, all of a sudden they stop you in your tracks, and you're like, holy mackerel, this moment's never going to happen again right now. I'm going to soak it in. I'm going to let it seep into my heart and soul. Many times I'm overcome with emotion, kind of brought to tears by it. And that's the power of gratitude.
Wow, amazing.
I think gratitude is such a underrated, overlooked mentality to have, especially in today's society where things come easy and fast. And so it's so easy to take everything for granted and not assess the proper value of what it really has in our life. So I really do appreciate you bringing that up, because that's something that I personally have been like trying to implement in my life. And I've noticed personally the differences in attitude and just the way I go about doing my daily life.
Yeah, love it.
All right, Andrew, next one's on you.
So, yeah, my turn. So my question to you, Jeff, my first one, kind of has a couple parts. The first one is, what piece of advice do you have for me, someone whose 5 nieces and nephews live with them 24/7, how to be the best uncle I can be and use that to prepare myself into being a dad? And then what would the advice be the same for any other single guy or married guy wanting to have kids and is just, waiting for that to happen?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what we talked about today, being that best version of yourself, because the ripple effect, it happens. If you're with your niece, they're going to feel it, right? Energy is felt. It radiates out. So by doing small, simple things to do, by controlling the bookends, by practicing by sharing, hey, this is why I'm practicing gratitude, you can have a significant, significant impact. So I've had dads read the Warrior Dad book that aren't dads yet. And they've been like, man, I can implement some of these and I can get forward momentum in my life. And then when it happens, hey, I'm prepared even for it. So answering that call to be the best version of yourself.
Okay.
Regardless if you're a dad or not, we all have that itch. We all have that voice that whispers to us, that says you can be more, do more, have more.
Right.
When you answer that call to be the best version of yourself, you start on the hero's journey. The game changes, and then you just play at a different level, and the impact is felt all over. So that would be my advice, Andrew.
Oh, I appreciate that. You're probably going to hear my nieces and nephews in the background right now because it's dinner time. So besides reading your book, what is one thing you want the listeners of this podcast to walk away from in this episode?
That's a great question. I would say, and this comes up for a lot of the dads that jump into my programs and get into that environment, that community, that brotherhood where it's safe to say we don't have it all figured out. Here's the
Right.
news flash to all the dads listening. None of us have it figured all out. I don't have it figured out. I like to say I could tee up a golf ball and hit a driver, and I'm a pretty crappy golfer. I would hit 10 houses with dads struggling with very similar things.
Right.
So we all face that same battle, that 6 inches in between our ears. You're not alone. There's nothing broken in you. It's just you got to figure it out, and you got to find dads that are playing at a different level. So that's what I'd say.
Oh, thank you for that. And yeah, looping that back to what you said earlier. You know, we have to challenge ourselves, and you can't become better if you're just surrounded with at that same level of where you are. You have to take the next step up.
Yeah. Amazing. Jeff, thank you so much. One last question. Where can folks find you if they want to learn more about you and your...
Yeah, so you can go out to warriordad.com. You can grab a time with me if you're compelled to just want to, reach out, find out more details, see if there's a logical fit. I am pretty selective of who I bring in. That's why I've got a 97% success rate of dads going through my programs. You want to find the Warrior Dad book, you can go out to Amazon. It's out there. You can grab a copy from there. And then I'm out on most socials, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, where I put out pretty regular content of at least 3 or 4 times a week, where I share just ideas, and that's how we all grow together.
Yeah, and we'll share the links to all of those in the show notes. And man, Jeff, thank you so much. What a wonderful episode we've had here. We covered a lot. You know, you shared your origin story and how you came over your challenges to bring a whole new approach to life and help. You know, you're on your journey of helping a million dads. We talked about the number one challenges that dads face. We talked about mindset and finding community and just starting out on a new path. So I think a lot that resonated with me. I'm sure a lot that will resonate with our listeners, and we thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate having me.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and until next time.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you all.